Let's see what we got. What we got tonight. Suge Knight found out how dangerous Ice Cube was. Let's see what happened. They be sleep on Cube. People always say I got the Ice Cube face, the still face, always looking mad. Nah, nigga, I'm happy.
A lot of people see Ice Cube as just a gangster rapper, but it turns out he really lived that life, and Suge Knight was one of the people who found out firsthand. I mean, this was the same Ice Cube that was not afraid to throw hands at a public convention. Anyway, from going toe-to-toe with Suge in a fist fight...
Did you really see Suge and Ice Cube fight?
Also, I see a ruckus, and I just see, you know, Cube's throwing his fist. He wasn't punking out at all.
To openly speaking his mind...
When we saying it like that, like, he was throwing his fist, he wasn't punking out, it sounded like he was still getting his ass whooped, but he was fighting back. That's what it sounded like. Which is cool, though. It's very respectable. You gotta fight back.
About how he really felt about him.
If he didn't know he got poked, then the conspiracy lives on.
Would you put it past
I don't push as nobody.
Cube never backed down. Let's dive in.
That was Cube letting you know, like, shit, I don't put nothing past Suge that he could have did that.
Ice Cube versus Suge Knight. It's no secret that Suge Knight was once known as the boogeyman of hip-hop. Artists weren't just afraid of him, they were
just like 40 Glock. It's a fucking myth. Niggas try to act all big and bad till a real nigga come and check them, and then they go running and you could beat them up with one hand and the phone in the other hand. You seen I gained that 40 Glock. Same thing happened to Suge Knight. Nigga knocked him out in the barbershop by a barber. You know what I'm saying? Could happen to anybody.
Downright terrified.
They was not scared of Suge Knight.
Who?
They was terrified of Suge Knight.
Right.
I mean, terrified.
I know.
No.
Yeah, I heard the stories. I knew it was, but I don't understand
Don't
why.
you want a better gaming PC that's built with the right hardware?
As always, it really be the crew members who really be about that action. I'd be like, why they don't just step up to the big dog and really, they could take over that shit if they want to, if they come together, but they don't think like that.
One of them, while plenty of people have doubted Cube's street credibility over the years, saying he was just a rapper playing the role of a gangster, the truth is...
That's still what I believe and what I thought. Now, he probably did some little gangster, like bossing in the office with bats and doing shit like that, but I don't really think he was in the streets. But he grew up in Compton, so you gotta be some type of involved in the streets.
He was one of those who got lucky enough to make it out. Ice Cube himself has shared stories that prove just how close he was to that lifestyle. Ice Cube a gangster, the truth is, he was one of those who got lucky enough to make it out. Ice Cube himself has shared stories that prove just how close he was to that lifestyle. One incident he talked about involved a local guy who was deep into drugs. The man showed up at Cube's house one day, spinning lies to his mother just to get some money, and she actually gave him $20.
Was heavy on drugs, went around to my house and gave my mother some cockamamie story, so she gave him $20.
That sent Cube over the edge. Furious, he and a friend grabbed their guns and went straight to the guy's house, fully intending to kill him. But when they got there, the man wasn't home.
And I was so mad. You violated me and my family. Me and my friends was going around the corner to kill him. And
why you said it on TV instead of just saying I was going to look for that nigga?
Thank God.
Looking back, Cube admitted that was a blessing in disguise, because if that guy had been home, things would have gone very differently. In his own words, he wouldn't be the Ice Cube we know today.
We were young and we was mad and we had a weapon and it was gonna happen. So it would have been stupid and I wouldn't be sitting here if it did happen.
A major reason Cube was able to get off the streets was his father. Unlike a lot of his peers,
like by the grace of God, it's like God was watching and he like stopped it every instant. Every time nigga tried to go do something stupid, cause nigga did a lot of stupid shit. But every time you was about to go that way, it's like he stopped you and was like, and nigga wouldn't be here right now, cause I lost a lot of people. So you know.
Cube had a strong father figure who helped steer him in the right direction. That influence, along with the opportunities he found in music, allowed him to walk away from that life.
We grew up in a, pretty tough neighborhood, but nobody was tougher than my father, so it was a sense of security.
But just because he left the streets didn't mean he lost his backbone. And that's exactly why even Suge Knight, the most feared man in hip-hop, had to face Cube head-on. DJ Premier once shared a story about witnessing Cube and Suge squaring up. This was right after Cube had left NWA, and Suge was already building his reputation as the industry's most dangerous man. But according to Premier, Cube wasn't backing down at all.
Did you really see Suge and Ice Cube fight?
Also, I see a ruckus, and I just see, Cube, Cube's throwing his fist. He wasn't punking out at all.
That alone says a lot because at the time, Suge had everyone in the game shook. This was a guy who didn't just make threats, he followed through. He was extorting artists, surrounding himself with real gangsters, and literally terrorizing his enemies.
Suge Knight is a mythical figure.
The controversial CEO of Death Row Records, the most feared figure in all of hip-hop.
His size was intimidating.
Knight had been on probation for a 1992 assault on two aspiring rappers.
Just ask Jerry Heller and he'll tell you exactly what kind of fear Suge could instill. Heller, who was one of the most infamous figures in NWA's history, once called Suge pure evil.
Do you look at Suge Knight as an infection?
Well, Suge Knight is just evil.
And that's what evil does.
And he had every reason to. During the whole Dr. Dre contract dispute, Mob James, one of Suge's top enforcers at the time, said that when they pulled up demanding Dre's release from Ruthless Records, Jerry Heller was frozen in fear. He was stuck in his chair, unable to move.
So you're not even in the room?
No.
So, but Jerry's in the room with this big Suge Knight guy.
Just them two.
Mob James,
got a check out of it.
That's not the one in jail, is it?
But that wasn't even the worst part. Shortly after that confrontation, Heller's house was broken into. A bunch of his stuff was stolen, but what really sent chills down his spine was the message that was spray painted on his mirror.
Your house was vandalized. Your life was threatened.
Right.
What were some of the incidents today? I mean, didn't you come home one time and found out that your house was broken into?
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff missing, and on the wall was spray painted, on the mirror in one of the bedrooms was spray painted, "Payback's a motherfucker, Jerry," or "Payback's a bitch, Jerry." One of those things.
Nobody could prove it was Suge's doing, but Heller was convinced. That incident left him completely paranoid. He became so jumpy that even just hearing Suge's name was enough to send him into a panic.
I always felt that Suge had something to do with it.
Albert Hughes, one of the Hughes brothers who directed Menace to Society, once said that he casually mentioned Suge's name to Jerry as a joke. Jerry's response was to pull out a gun on Albert's brother, just from sheer paranoia. That's how much fear Suge had put into him.
Because we had big mouths and we would say what was on our mind, we said something to Jerry, but it was all in jest. And he literally pulls out a 25 and points it at my brother.
A gun?
Yeah,
really?
Now what he would have did, real nigga, I would have pulled my shit back at him like, nigga, what the fuck you gonna do? You wanna shoot me right now? I'm gonna shoot you off. Matter of fact, if he pulled that gun first, I would have pulled my shit out and just shot him. It would have been self-defense, you hear me? Even if I knew he wasn't about to shoot me, I could shoot him because he pulled a weapon out on me. You know what I'm saying? He just be pulling that bitch out on bitch ass niggas. But you pull that bitch out on the right nigga, you gonna get what you're asking for.
Others, Cube wasn't someone Suge could just intimidate into submission. In fact, Cube has had his fair share of serious beefs over the years. Above the Law. Take his beef with Above the Law, for example. After Cube left NWA, Eazy-E signed the gangster rap group Above the Law, who repped Pomona. Naturally, they inherited the beef.
Me and Cube had some issues. He disrespected Pomona. Me and him got into a head-up scrap. Spilled over to the New Music Seminar.
Tensions started heating up in 1990 while the group was promoting their debut album, Livin' Like Hustlers. During an LA Times interview that April, group member Gomack threw some shade at Cube, questioning his street credibility.
We had an interview with LA Times. What signatures y'all music and everything. So we talk about what we really was involved with or our colleagues.
He claimed that Cube's hardcore lyrics weren't really based on his own life, but were actually inspired by their lifestyle.
We're not like Ice Cube that went away to college and come back and act like this big time.
That remind me of that. I found out a couple years ago that fucking Biggie whole Juicy thing was stole after a whole nother nigga lifestyle who looked just like him, called Biggie something, you hear me? It was crazy. I'm like, no, I need to do a reaction to that.
Which at the time, that's what he was. He was a dude that was really sharp with the pen. Was kind of a schoolboy. Never hustled the street, never banged in the street.
Cube didn't take the insult too seriously, but he didn't let it slide either. He fired back with a slick response. New Jacks from Pomona should only talk about the 10 freeway, referencing the highway that ran through their city.
LA Times wanted to reply to that. On the interview, he said New Jack Pomona should only talk about the freeway because that's the only thing that's going through that mother.
The biggest race of the year. The biggest stage of lifetime. That's what we love about the Daytona 500. Secure your experience now at Daytona.
Back in the day, it was that shit. When you listen to it now, you be like,
as an older adult, I didn't want to spend all my time binge watching television, so I said, let me go back to.
When the interview dropped, Eazy-E wasted no time stirring the pot. He called up Cold 187, the leader of Above the Law, and asked, "Did you read the paper?" Once 187 saw it, he was heated.
Eazy-E called me. He said, "Hey man, did you get the LA Times?" I said, "No, man, you gotta see it." He laughing on the phone. He's a big joke, so he laughing. Ah! So I get it. I read the statement.
He told Eazy straight up that he was going to put hands on Cube. Eazy tried to talk him down, but 187 wasn't trying to hear it.
I called E back and said, "I'm your boy up."
187, fuck putting hands on Cube. I thought you would go handle that. You hear me?
You know, as soon as I said, "Oh, cuz, don't be tripping," I said, "Man, that." Real, homie.
As fate would have it, he didn't have to wait long to see Cube in person.
Oh,
the same night, April 7th, 1990, Above the Law was headlining a show at the Anaheim Celebrity Theater, and Cube was backstage doing a magazine interview. In the hallway, he and 187 crossed paths and exchanged a few words, but nothing popped off right away.
So he come,
made
a meet up in the hallway, said, "What's up, that?" Said, "Newspaper. You trying to play me like a bust or something, homie?" Like, "Oh, you a dude." Like I said, "What's happening? You want to get down?"
That changed when Cube later stepped into Above the Law's dressing room and confronted 187 at the doorway. That was all it took. Just like that.
Nigga said Cube stepped to them. Cube went to their dressing room, you hear me? Like, y'all know where he was at, but shit, Cube went to y'all, nigga. Y'all niggas wasn't really looking for Cube.
So
y'all
he
didn't want
come
that
back
action.
into my dressing room and say, "What's up?" As soon as he say, "What's up?" I give him to him a two-piece hot one. Boom, he fall through the door.
It was a rough brawl, but Cube wasn't backing down. He held his own and didn't let 187 get the best of him. The fight eventually ended, but the tension didn't.
So Cube didn't back down either.
No, he didn't. He didn't back down. He got socked out, but he didn't back down. He got socked out, but he didn't back down.
By this point, Cube wasn't rolling solo anymore. After leaving NWA, he built his own squad, the Lynch Mob. These weren't just rappers, they were activists, street dudes, and the kind of people you didn't want problems with.
And when we get to New York, so all the stuff going around the seminars like, "Oh yeah, the Lynch Mob here, and they got issues, whatever, right?"
So when Cube and Above the Law ran into each other again at the Marriott Marquis in Times Square for the 1990 New Music Seminar, it didn't take long for things to get violent again.
We see each other going to a panel, right? And we face off right in the middle of the seminar, and we get down. And all hell broke loose.
This time, Cube had stepped away to speak on a panel, but his crew was still around. Words were exchanged, tempers flared, and before long, another fight broke out between the Lynch Mob and Above the Law.
Cube was nowhere around. Nowhere around. We tore that whole floor up.
It was a serious brawl, but by the end of it, Cube's side had made their point. After that, Cube didn't seem too bothered anymore. He had reinforced that he wasn't to be messed with. Common. Then there's his beef with Common. On September 27th, 1994, a young Common Sense dropped a track that would go on to make hip-hop history and stir up some serious drama. The song I Used to Love Her was a standout single from his second album, Resurrection, using the metaphor of a girl Common had fallen for to represent his love for hip-hop. As the story unfolds, it becomes clear that this girl is hip-hop itself. The track was a hit, especially with a picky East Coast rap crowd who hadn't been all that impressed with Common's first album, Can I Borrow a Dollar?
I met this girl when I was 10 years old. I do remember this. She had so much soul.
But while the East Coast crowd was vibing with Common's storytelling, not everyone was feeling the love. The song paints a picture of hip-hop's evolution, from its pure beginnings to its transformation into a more commercialized and gangsta-influenced style. It was a reflection on how hip-hop had changed, but that didn't sit well with Ice Cube. To him, it sounded like a jab at the West Coast's dominance of the genre during the 90s.
I created I Used to Love It in 1994. You know, it was a story that I could tell about the evolution of hip-hop and the stages that I seen hip-hop go from just the pure innocent to...
He talking about this girl that he was in love with. You know, she's supposed to be hip-hop, and he's so in love with her. But when she go out here, she get
Things came to a head when Common heard through the grapevine that Ice Cube had responded.
King T from the West. Yeah, somebody said, "Yo, Cube dissed you on this song."
What made
so
Cube take
we playing the song, and I'm listening. I'm like, "Damn, this dissing me."
The verse King T was talking about was Ice Cube's contribution to Mac 10's track West Side Slaughterhouse, featuring Cube and WC. Common decided to fire back with a diss track, and that's how the B in U was born. Common came out swinging with lines like went from gangsta to Islam to the D of Das FX, calling out Cube for pandering to the East Coast, only to turn against it later.
Line on your said you was and use how you learn it. Don't take my words.
He even dug deeper with Hypocrite, I'm filling out your death certificate.
These niggas did a beef that really was not a real beef, because Common was talking about hip-hop and Cube responded with a song probably talking about hip-hop, and then Common responded talking about how he was...
Slinging bean pies and St. Ides in the same sentence, accusing Cube of being at odds with the values of the Nation of Islam while promoting street life.
Take the nation in millions to hold me back from giving you mouth shots or hit.
And to end it all, Common delivered the ultimate mic drop by using Ice Cube's own lyrics against him, in the immortal words of one, a B's a B.
Any last words before I hit the switch from the immortal words of one, a B is a...
For Ice Cube, this was unfamiliar territory. He had long been known as one of the most ruthless diss track artists in the game. His scathing takedown of NWA with No Vaseline was already legendary, and his reputation as someone you didn't mess with was solidified. As Doug Infinite put it, if you're going to come at Cube lyrically, you better come with it.
I ain't lying, that shit's still stuck in my head, that right there. Nigga, back then had a gangster. That bill was gangster. Had a toe tag the nigga. You hear me? Like, you don't know how deep that shit is.
His reputation as someone you didn't mess with was solidified.
Like, it passed, but I'm just thinking about it in my head. I'm like,
if you're going to come at Cube lyrically, you better come with it, or he's going to body you. So I think Com felt that way, being the lyricist that he is. Ice Cube later admitted that he had written a response track to fire back at Common, but fate intervened before it could escalate.
I had a record, man, that was a killer. And then we ended up having this summit with Farrakhan.
Oh.
He helped us squash it. He helped us squash it, so I just never did my record.
You recorded it?
No, I had the lyrics.
The deaths of Tupac Shakur in 1996 and the Notorious B.I.G. in 1997 had cast a dark shadow over the hip-hop world.
You always make it seem like Pac died in that car when he got shot. But Pac didn't die until in the hospital like a whole day later or some shit. So
on April 3rd, 1997, less than a month after Biggie's tragic death, Farrakhan organized a peace summit at the Nation of Islam's headquarters in Chicago. It was a historic gathering. It's a peace summit at the Nation.
LL Cool J had hair, or that's a do-rag? It's probably a do-rag.
Of Islam's headquarters in Chicago. It was a historic gathering, bringing together some of the most prominent figures in...
Damn, what a coincidence that his motherfucking Takeoff and he died. Rest in peace, Takeoff.
Hip-hop, including Common and Ice Cube. NWA. Next up is the infamous feud between Ice Cube and NWA. As most fans know already, Ice Cube left NWA in 1989 over money issues. He felt he wasn't being paid enough for all the writing he did on the Straight Outta Compton album, and that led to an ugly fallout. This beef got so intense that it even dragged in people who had nothing to do with their business. One notable example is Dee Barnes, a presenter on the Fox TV show Pump It Up, which covered hip-hop culture and often featured big-name rappers. Dee's name even came up years later in Eminem's song Guilty Conscience, where he referenced Dr. Dre's attack on her. But let's look at how Dee got caught in the middle. By the time the Ice Cube drama kicked off, Dee had already interviewed NWA several times. She was familiar with the whole crew and had covered them on her show for years.
Ice Cube of NWA will be hanging out with him and all his homies at his house.
We'll be back after these commercials.
Ice Cube definitely presented the image of a real nigga back then, for sure. It didn't switch until he did that Are We There Yet shit. I believe that was the first time it like switched to where people started seeing him in a different light. But he definitely had the image of a gangster rapper.
So whatever.
He had that, if he wasn't one, he had that bitch down pat.
But once Cube left, things shifted. NWA responded by dissing him hard on their track 100 Miles and Runnin', making it clear they weren't just going to let him walk away quietly. According to Dee Barnes herself, when she got the group back on Pump It Up to talk about their latest moves, the energy was tense from the start. Every question she asked led to a jab at Ice Cube, and it got so heated that the production team had to edit out some of the harsher parts just to make the interview airable. But here's where things took a turn. When the episode finally aired, it included not only the NWA interview, but also another clip filmed earlier on the set of Boys in the Hood with Yo-Yo, who was Ice Cube's friend and collaborator. Unexpectedly, Ice Cube crashed the interview and took the opportunity to diss NWA, using their own lyrics to throw shade right back at them. To make matters worse, Cube even made fun of the DOC, who was close to Dr. Dre and had recently suffered a car accident that permanently damaged his voice.
Cube gon' pump it up. I got all suckers on 100 miles in one. I'd like to give a shout out to the DOC. Y'all can play.
For the record, even at the time, Dee Barnes said she didn't think they should air that segment, but as just a presenter, she didn't have the final say over the edit. Unfortunately, the final edit sensationalized the story by playing the two clips back to back. After Ice Cube's interview aired, Dee turned to the camera and mentioned that she's always in the middle of controversy.
Dee always in the middle of controversy, right? Everyone pump it up.
This was likely a reflexive response to an awkward situation, but in the edit, it looked like she was stoking the flames, encouraging the beef between Ice Cube and NWA, and positioning herself right in the middle of it. After the interview fiasco, some time went by, but Dr. Dre and Dee Barnes eventually crossed paths again. At a Def Jam Records party, a drunken Dr. Dre spotted Dee Barnes. Still furious about how the interview had been presented, he flew into a blind rage. According to Rolling Stone reporter Alan Light, in an article called Beating Up the Charts, Dre picked her up by her hair and began slamming her head and the right side of her body repeatedly against a brick wall near the stairway. His bodyguard held off the crowd with a gun, ensuring no one could intervene. Dre then tried to throw her down the stairs but failed.
They got a lot of stuff. I did a video on it already on Dre, but they got a lot of stories of Dre hitting females, boy. He stayed beating bitches for some reason. And people overlook that now, period. People always overlooked it, even though it was there. People then like, it's Dr. Dre.
Undeterred, he began kicking her in the ribs and hands. Dee managed to escape and ran into the women's restroom, but Dre followed her, grabbed her from behind by the hair again, and proceeded to punch her in the back of the head.
They grabbed me by my hair.
That's fucked up, Dre.
And started slamming me up against the wall. It's a painful and traumatic experience.
The vicious attack didn't go unnoticed. Members of NWA openly discussed the incident in subsequent interviews. MC Ren bluntly stated she deserved it. Eazy-E echoed the sentiment, saying, yeah, B had it coming. Dr. Dre himself was unapologetic, saying, people talk all this ish, but you know, somebody F with me, I'm gonna F with them. I just did it, you know? Ain't nothing you can do now by talking about it. Besides, it ain't no big thing. I just threw her through a door.
He probably can still sue his ass. He might be next to go to jail after
the host of that show did something that she knows she did and got beat down, and I hope it happened again.
Dee Barnes tried to sue Dr. Dre for $22.75 million, but the case was settled out of court. Cypress Hill. Next up was his feud with Cypress Hill. The drama started with the Friday movie soundtrack, which Ice Cube curated. One of the standout tracks on the album was Roll It Up, Light It Up, Smoke It Up, a Cypress Hill song. The group had agreed to contribute that track, but according to Be Real, a member of Cypress Hill, the real problem began when Ice Cube heard another song during their studio session. While listening to tracks for the movie, Ice Cube got a sneak peek of Cypress Hill's upcoming album, Temples of Boom. They played him Throw Your Set in the Air, their lead single. Cube loved the song and wanted it for the Friday soundtrack instead. Cypress Hill politely declined since it was the title track for their upcoming project.
You know, we play him the song and he likes it. He goes, yeah, that's perfect, you know. You know, me and Muggs asked him, hey, he's like, oh, that's bad. It's gonna be the single on our album.
Cube pressed a bit, even asking them to play it again. They did, but they stood firm that the track was off limits. Fast forward to the release of the Friday soundtrack, which came out shortly before Temples of Boom. A friend of B Real's heard one of the songs on the soundtrack and immediately called him, saying, did you let Ice Cube use one of your album tracks for Friday? Confused, B Real explained that they had only given Cube Roll It Up, Light It Up, Smoke It Up, but the friend wasn't talking about that track. He was referring to something that sounded suspiciously like Throw Your Set in the Air. Skeptical at first, B Real listened to Cube's track and his heart sank. The hook sounded eerily similar to their song with only minor tweaks to the lyrics.
The Throw Your Set in the Air thing. I said, no, we didn't give him that. He goes, well, you know, that is in his chorus in his song.
Feeling betrayed, B Real aired his frustrations to the studio, and word quickly got back to Ice Cube through Mac 10.
So you couldn't call Cube first and ask him, man, what's up with that? Because obviously you fuck with Cube, you lend him the song and shit, but you couldn't call the nigga and ask him about that? You know what I'm saying? You go straight to this track.
Called B Real to hash things out. He claimed it was all Cube trying to air his frustration to the studio, and word quickly got back to Ice Cube through Mac 10. Cube, trying to address the situation, called B-Real to hash things out. He claimed it was all a misunderstanding and the matter died down. Then Ice Cube later invited B-Real to the studio to record a guest vocal for Caution, a group signed to Lynch Mob Records. During the session, B-Real heard a few lines from a song that sounded almost identical to lyrics from Temples of Boom. He couldn't believe it. Was Cube trying to lift from them again? B-Real noticed that Cube seemed to pick up on his reaction because when he stepped out of the room and came back, the lines had been removed. To B-Real, this was proof that Cube had been caught red-handed once more.
And I heard a couple lines that were the same things I used on the Temple of Boom record. And I thought to myself, wait a minute, that's my line.
This was the tipping point for Cypress Hill. B-Real went back to his crew, told him what happened, and they decided it was time to take action. Why you didn't address it right then and there? You and Cube face, man. Come on, man. The group released No Rest for the Wicked.
Hey, Cube, man, what that is? No, hold on, that's my line? Where you get that from? Who you? Yeah, like that's who you pulled a hand like.
Anything diss track aimed squarely at Ice Cube, and what followed was a back and forth exchange of diss tracks between them. The beef between Ice Cube and Cypress Hill grew deeper as both fans and artists began taking sides. Tensions in the Los Angeles rap scene were already high, and this feud only added fuel to the fire. Around the same time, Ice Cube was dealing with another issue involving LA artists Cam and Solo, who were caught up in a business feud with him. Things came to a head when Cube and Solo crossed paths at a Los Angeles traffic light. According to Solo, the encounter quickly turned physical. He claimed to have gotten the better of Ice Cube during the fight, and in the scuffle, Cube's chain somehow ended up in Solo's possession.
Came back up, whooped on his ass. Somehow
everybody keeps saying that they whooped on Cube, man. He fought back.
Not one to let a moment like that go unnoticed, Solo made his way to a Cypress Hill show at the House of Blues, where he held the chain up for the crowd to see. The audience went wild, and the moment was even captured in a photo that circulated widely at the time. Eventually, the beef was officially squashed, putting an end to one of the more intense rivalries of the era.
That was funny. I didn't even know that was about to be all his beefs. I thought that was just him and Suge, but that was cool. I liked it. You know what I mean? Like, comment, subscribe. Y'all don't like what I said about your greats? Let's talk about it in the comments.